I know it. You know it. Everything just sucks. Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Cloudy and welcome to my YouTube channel. There's so much I want to say, but I don't really know where to start. I know I'm not the only one that's noticed the dumpster fire that is every single show's ending. And when I say every single show, I mean every single show. Shows that started off amazing, that had the most amazing plot, ideas, concepts, art, characters, or filming quality. Shows that could have been incredible and would have gone down as being masterpieces, but were ruined by terrible final seasons, endings, or just a very noticeable steady decline. And I'm gonna talk about a few of them. I'm sure many of you watching already have an idea of one or many shows in mind, but the most recent show that comes to my mind that I watched recently that had an absolutely terrible ending was the infamous last season of The Umbrella Academy. Whew boy. Where do I start? I loved The Umbrella Academy. When I first started watching it, I thought it was an amazing show with such an interesting concept, and it genuinely was. The first season was incredible. After season 4 came out, I actually went and rewatched from the very beginning, and I mean, it was amazing. The characters, the interactions, the plot, the overall film quality, even the way that the camera worked with the subtle angles, lighting, etc. It genuinely was an amazing show that had so much potential, and that's what makes the final season even worse, because it could have been a masterpiece and it ended up being awful. It actually is a tragedy the way that the show ended. I could say a million and one things about the Umbrella Academy, but I'll make a separate video for that. I'll try to go over just the main things first. Things that I noticed, things I saw other people discussing, and things that fans were generally upset by. I think we all know the very first thing I'm gonna say, and that is the relationship between Five and Lila. The only thing that I can say about this, the only question that I have, I guess, is why? Why was it necessary? Why do it? There was not a single reason for them to do this. Not a single one. There was no logical explanation. It literally just felt like they wanted Five to have a love interest, and then instead of fleshing out another character to give him a love interest, they just used an already existing character, and like the only character that wasn't related to him. I think it's such a disservice to both Five and Lila's characters for the producers and writers to do this. It legitimately feels like such a betrayal to the type of people that they are and the type of characters that they time and time again have been established as being. Five, for example. The most unbelievable thing for me, more than the relationship even, was how Five was acting throughout. He is established as a character that loves his family to a fault. He is willing to do anything for them and is willing to go through anything for them. He literally spent years and years trying to get back to them and is firmly established as being a character that would sacrifice anything for his family. He would do anything to get back to them and has done so in the past. He suffered so much, again, just to get back to his family. And you're trying to tell me that he spent, 50 something years, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the first season trying to get back to his family, trying to save them and everything. Yet 7 years was too much for him in the final season? You're telling me a character that has literally ripped apart space and time to be with his family is just giving up? There's no way. He would absolutely never. And it was so jarring to see this, especially because it was due to a person that he previously did not like. These two characters hated each other and only tried to get along for Diego's sake. There is no way that Five would do something like this in 7 years, and there's no way that he would betray Dolores too. And there is no way that Lila would ever do that to Diego. She is not that type of character. It is an insult to her entire arc that they did this. There were a million ways that they could have introduced a love interest for Five, even though I don't think he needs one. They are literally in a universe that has dozens of alternative realities and different versions of different people. You're telling me that not a single universe exists where there's like a human version of Dolores or something, anything would have been better than the relationship they gave us. Secondly, even if you move past the relationship aspect, and bear with me here, I know it's difficult, the scenes that happened before and after this 7 years and the kiss are further disservices to his character, Lila's character, and also to Diego's character. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about these scenes and just how awful they were. They completely ruined Diego and Five's relationship, and also just made Diego's character a complete joke for no reason. They made him a comic relief type of character, completely ignoring his character arc and his personality up until this point. There were multiple jokes made on Diego's behalf about his body, which, correct me if I'm wrong, had never been a thing before, so it was odd. There was also this huge bit of Diego worrying that Lila was like cheating on him with some guy who we know was Five, and they try to joke about it and make Diego seem like he's worried for nothing because, oh, it's just Five, haha, like you're so worried she'll cheat on you, but she's just with your younger brother. And those jokes might work if you didn't have the cheating actually happen. You can't make jokes about Diego being worried that his wife is having an affair with his brother when there is no reason to worry, and then proceed to actually make his wife have an affair with his brother. Like, that's not a joke. It's not a little, haha, you're worried for no reason. That's just proving his point. Proving that it wasn't a joke and that he was right to worry. These kinds of jokes only work if there isn't actually an affair plot going on. And to have Five and Lila, like, reassure Diego that you don't need to worry, only to have them kiss is, like, unbelievable. And then it gets worse because not only does Five not want to come back, which I've already talked about being completely against his character, but then he acts aggressive with Diego over Lila, which is another completely out of character moment. Like, at this point, it's not even out of character. He just is a completely different character than the Five that we all know and love. It was a complete change. It's like they killed him and replaced him with a double or something. And when I was watching this, that's what I thought happened. That this was a completely different Five from a different universe or something. And side note, a lot of the characters had this same character assassination or massacre, as I've heard, occur with them, where they lost a huge portion of their personality and essentially just became one-note, one-dimensional characters. Basically just a stereotype or archetype or idea of a character. They went from being fleshed out and complex to not. And I don't want to keep talking about Umbrella Academy, so I will make a separate video about it. But my main point is that there is a emerging and worrying amount of shows and movies in which characters and writing are becoming progressively worse and worse. There is a deterioration of creativity and of media, not just with series endings, but also with movies, books, and other things. And with this deterioration comes a lack of content. That's why everything sucks. That's why writers aren't able to write, and why the series finales of so many shows are just awful. Because where there is a lack of creativity and thought, writers and producers try to think of ways to have plot or surprise the audience. And because they can't think of anything good, they land on the most outrageous, out-of-pocket, out-of-character, nonsensical ideas ever. For some reason, producers think that by adding plot twists and surprises into the show, they can engage the audience and make them talk about it. Except these surprises are horrible. No one likes them. Fans actively hate the decisions that are made, but they continue on because it gets people talking anyway. And there's no such thing as bad publicity. And I think actually that many producers do whatever they want for the finale because it is the finale. Like, I think they try to rationalize that people will watch it anyway, and since the series is ending, they don't need to do anything for the fans anymore, which, sure, might work, but for a lot of people, a finale is the final send-off for a show, and it's usually the determining factor as to whether or not they're gonna rewatch it or not. I'm sure many of us remember Voltron and its awful finale. And I haven't rewatched Voltron since then. I love the show, mind you. I love the characters. I'm still active in the fandom and engaged with fan content, and I still watch earlier seasons, not on Netflix. I watch clips and edits and stuff, but I haven't gone to Netflix to watch the series, honestly, at all since it ended. And now it's off Netflix, so. And I know that that's the case for a lot of others. So yeah, you're not losing anything by making the finale awful, but people are not going to want to rewatch your show. And in my opinion, monetarily or not, rewatchability is the number one aspect of a show after it ends. And obviously, like, things like plot and characterization and world building and art style are the most important, but if your show isn't rewatchable, I don't think it's a very successful show. Now, this isn't the case for every single show, and some shows may be unwatchable because they're too heavy or they're really more of a one-time watch or something like that. But for a vast majority of people, shows that are good for them are shows that they can rewatch. And I know people are going to talk about shows that have bingeable, rewatchable content and say, well, this show doesn't have plot and it sucks, but it's super rewatchable. And to them I say, you are missing my point. A good show should have a creative and cohesive plot, great characters, awesome world building, and amazing art style, or amazing filmography. Is that the term? I don't know. Is cinematography the right word? Basically, like, angles and lighting and symbolism and stuff. I think the main issue is that a lot of execs and producers and big companies are focused on just making as much money as they can, and they don't care about delivering a good product. That's why they do shocking and surprising things, so that people talk about it and so more people watch it. It's why they have lackluster or bad finales, so that people watch, talk about how disappointed they are, and then in turn that causes others to check it out and watch it again. I suppose that to them this is better and causes more people to watch, I guess, than if the show was good. Now obviously people are more likely to watch a show if it's good rather than if it's bad. Take Arcane for example, or She-Ra, or most animes. But like I said earlier, any publicity is good publicity, and it is probably way easier to put out a trash product and make money off of it than spend time on something to try to make it good. And no, this is nothing new. I'm not saying anything revolutionary here. In the end, the goal is profit. And execs and producers and companies care way more about money than anything else. Quantity over quality, I guess. Companies are going to continue to value profit over anything else, and will continue to pump out awful shows and bad finales because they don't care about anything else. And they'll continue to ruin shows for us and ruin media for us, which is why, and I'm glad that I'm seeing a rise in this, we truly do need more independent / indie creators doing shows and movies, etc. Gaming, I feel, in my opinion, is something that has improved so much in recent years, simply because there are so many indie developers now. And yeah, you could argue that there is a lot of copying or oversaturation, but alongside that, there are plenty of original, amazing games that people make because they're passionate, and because we're starting to put an emphasis on supporting indie developers. And if we do the same for animators and filmmakers and showmakers, independent ones, of course, I think we'll see a steady increase in the quality of works that are being put out. So let this be an invitation to everyone watching, if there is anyone watching. Leave your favorite indie games, shows, comics, films, artists, etc. in the comments so that people can go check it out and support these creators. And hey, I'll check them out, and if there's any that I'm into, I'll make a video on it. Sorry this video was so rambly, it's my first, and I'm trying to get a sense of how to format and script everything, but I promise the quality and flow will drastically improve once I get to it. If you liked this video and you want to see more videos on TV shows, games, movies, other stuff, subscribe for more. I have a lot of ideas, so I talk a lot. I'm thinking of doing an analysis on Miraculous, maybe doing a deeper dive into the Umbrella Academy finale like I was talking about. I want to do a video on the very lackluster Dragon Prince finales, as well as some lore or theory videos on some indie games, and also an analysis / critique of sorts on Tears of the Kingdom, and an appreciation video of sorts for Breath of the Wild. So, if any of this sounds interesting to you, stick around. Additionally, if you have anything you want me to talk about, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a great day. See you later.